In the shadowed corridors of the Galactic Empire, few bonds carried as much weight, pain, and contradiction as the one between Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. What began as a young Jedi's admiration for a seemingly wise statesman evolved into a twisted dependence, marked by loyalty forged in fire, simmering hatred born of betrayal, and ultimately, a shattering break that redeemed a fallen soul. Today we'll delve deeply into Vader's emotional landscape, his thoughts, conflicts, and evolving perceptions, crafting a narrative drawn from the broad strokes of the Star Wars saga. It explores how a man once called Anakin Skywalker came to view his Sith master not merely as a teacher, but as a false father, a necessary evil, a source of both strength and torment. Anakin Skywalker's life was defined by absence and yearning. Born into slavery on a harsh desert world, he lacked a stable parental figure. His mother provided love, but the galaxy demanded more. When Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn entered his life, it offered a glimpse of destiny, yet that light faded quickly. Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped in as a mentor, but their dynamic often felt like that of a strict older brother clashing with a headstrong youth. Chancellor Palpatine entered this void with calculated warmth. To the young Padawan, he represented understanding without judgment. While the Jedi Council viewed Anakin with caution, his emotions too raw, his power too unpredictable, Palpatine listened. He offered praise for Anakin's talents, shared strategic insights during the Clone Wars, and seemed genuinely invested in his well-being. Anakin confided fears about losing loved ones, his frustrations with Jedi restrictions, and even personal secrets from his past. In those conversations, Palpatine became a surrogate father figure, someone who saw greatness where others saw risk. This trust felt authentic to Anakin. Palpatine never dismissed his visions or ambitions. Instead, he nurtured them, hinting at paths to greater power that aligned with Anakin's desire to protect those he loved. There was no overt coercion at first, just a steady hand guiding a talented but troubled young man. Vader, reflecting later in moments of quiet meditation within his armor, might have recalled these times with a mix of nostalgia and bitterness. The warmth had been real to him, even if hindsight revealed the manipulation. Palpatine had planted seeds of doubt about the Jedi Order, positioning himself as the only reliable ally in a galaxy of hypocrites. Anakin's feelings here were layered with gratitude and aspiration. He saw in Palpatine a leader who valued results over rigid dogma. This bond provided emotional stability amid the chaos of war, making the eventual turn feel almost inevitable when Padme's life hung in the balance. The events on Mustafar shattered Anakin's world. Betrayed by his own rage and fear, he lay broken, limbs severed, body scorched by lava. In that agony, Palpatine arrived, not as a distant chancellor, but as a rescuer. The medical interventions that followed, the encasement in the iconic black armor, represented survival at an unbearable cost. In the immediate aftermath, Vader's emotions toward his new master were dominated by desperate reliance. Palpatine had pulled him from death's edge and offered a new purpose within the dark side. The pain was constant, a reminder of failure, but Palpatine framed it as a gateway to unmatched strength. "You will be greater than before," the promise echoed. Vader clung to this, viewing his master as the sole tether to existence. Without Palpatine, there was only oblivion and the haunting knowledge of what he had done. Yet even in this dependence, flickers of awareness stirred. Vader sensed a deception, Padme's fate twisted in Palpatine's words. The gratitude was laced with obligation. He owed his life to this man, and in the Sith tradition, such a debt demanded service. Early missions as the Empire's enforcer reinforced this. Palpatine directed him with authority that felt both empowering and confining. Vader's internal monologue, if we imagine it during long hyperspace journeys, likely mixed resolve with quiet questioning. He saves me. He understands the power I wield. Together we reshape the galaxy. But underneath lay the mechanical hum of his suit, a prison built from Palpatine's mercy. This phase solidified a paternal dynamic in Vader's mind. Palpatine was the architect of his rebirth, the one who accepted the monster he had become when the galaxy would not. As the Empire solidified its grip, Vader served as its most feared instrument. He hunted surviving Jedi, crushed rebellions, and stood at Palpatine's right hand. His feelings during this era reflected a complex loyalty. He respected Palpatine's unmatched political cunning and Force mastery. The Emperor's vision of order appealed to Vader's desire for control after years of personal chaos. In private moments, Vader treated Palpatine with deference that bordered on camaraderie. The Emperor would call him my friend or my apprentice, reinforcing a sense of belonging. Vader, isolated by his appearance and reputation, found in Palpatine the only constant. There was admiration for the way his master orchestrated events from the shadows. Vader aspired to similar dominance, as the rule of two encouraged, apprentices eventually surpassing masters. Yet he remained patient, believing the time would come when he would claim that power legitimately. This loyalty wasn't blind. Vader recognized Palpatine's cruelty as a tool for growth. Tests and punishment strengthened him, or so he told himself. Missions often left him reflecting on their shared philosophy. The dark side rewarded the bold, and weakness invited destruction. He felt a dark fulfillment in this partnership, channeling his inner torment into service. Palpatine filled the void left by lost friends, family, and ideals. In Vader's fractured psyche, this made the Emperor indispensable, a harsh but necessary guide. Still, resentment brewed. Palpatine withheld knowledge, kept Vader on a leash through the suit's dependencies and reminders of past failures. Vader's thoughts might have turned to quiet defiance during meditations, plotting contingencies, imagining a future where he no longer knelt. But loyalty held, rooted in habit, fear of isolation, and the lingering belief that Palpatine offered the only path forward. Over time, the relationship soured into something more overtly abusive. Palpatine belittled Vader's setbacks, engineered situations to expose his vulnerabilities, and treated him as a weapon rather than a partner. Each rebuke stung, amplifying Vader's self-hatred for the choices that led him here. Vader's internal world became a storm of conflicting impulses. He hated the manipulation that destroyed his old life, yet he needed Palpatine's approval to validate his existence. This created a cycle: eager service, followed by simmering anger. He channeled rage into greater feats, proving his worth while secretly yearning for independence. The dark side fed on this tension, making him stronger but more tormented. In moments of solitude, Vader likely pondered the asymmetry. Palpatine had everything: power, freedom, foresight. while he endured constant physical agony and emotional isolation. The gifts of his position came with thorns. Loyalty persisted out of pragmatism. Overthrowing the Emperor prematurely risked everything. But the seeds of betrayal had taken root long ago. Vader's feelings evolved into a guarded respect mixed with deep resentment. A master he served while waiting for the moment to strike or transcend. The revelation of Luke Skywalker changed everything. Here was living proof that not all had been lost. A son who embodied the potential Vader once held. Protecting Luke introduced conflict into his loyalty to Palpatine. Vader saw an opportunity, ruled together as father and son, free from the Emperor's shadow. Palpatine's schemes to turn Luke exposed the old manipulations anew. Vader obeyed outwardly, but acted with increasing independence. When Palpatine unleashed Force lightning on Luke, the protective instinct overwhelmed decades of conditioning. In that instant, Vader's feelings crystallized. Palpatine was the true enemy, the false father who had stolen everything and now threatened the last remnant of Anakin's light. Lifting his master and hurling him into the abyss represented the culmination of suppressed emotions, rage at the lies, grief for lost years, and a final rejection of the darkness that bound them. Vader's sacrifice restored balance, proving that beneath the resentment and loyalty lay an enduring capacity for love and choice. Vader's journey with Palpatine illustrates the corrosive nature of unchecked power and manipulation. What started as genuine connection devolved into enslavement, sustained by Vader's own pain and the dark side's allure. His feelings were never static. Admiration gave way to dependence, loyalty to resentment, and finally to liberating defiance. This dynamic underscores timeless themes. How trust betrayed can warp a soul, yet redemption remains possible through connection. Vader's story reminds us that even the deepest darkness cannot fully extinguish the light of choice. In the end, he chose his son over his master, reclaiming a fragment of the man he once was.